Episode 21, fucking Tuesday. So at this point, we ask the audience, what is your knee-jerk reaction?
Post it on Facebook.
Spotify gives you an option to leave us a voice message.
I think you can comment on the episodes and stuff too.
Feel free. Raising children. What is that?
Raising children in a toxic, sterilized environment.
Yes.
That's when people keep their children inside so they aren't exposed to the shit that's outside, as far as all the bad things that are going on, and they're kept inside with the internet, which is where all the bad things are, and they have access to.
I can see that from a sterilized in the point of view of trying to keep them centered around Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig and what have you. You know, keep a direct line of influence of what they're watching and what it is, versus the internet having all the filth available.
Exactly.
Potentially. There's a lot of restrictions and whatnot people can put on things, but I would view that more as in a toxic, sterilized environment, especially in the last couple of years. Think about our example of a sterilized environment.
Yeah.
It's something we've been seeing for decades. Everything has to be sanitized, wiped down, Clorox wipe this, wipe the doorknobs, wash your hands 24 times a fucking day. You don't get exposed to germs. You have no germs. Keep them inside a sterilized environment, but yet then you release them out into the world. Poof, what's there? It's kind of the same thing for negative influences.
Each parent has their own ability to raise their child in whatever way they would like. Whether it's you're a stay-at-home with them and leave them in the sterilized environment, or introduce them to anything. And I think that's the cool part about the sterilized environment. If it's done right, you can keep them from most of the shit you don't want them to see. And I'm not saying like you're ever going to keep them from the internet. They know more about that shit than you do. We've discussed that a bunch of times, I think. No, like if you don't want them playing on their phone, take them to a park. They might be the only kid there, but at least they're at a park.
So especially if they're the only kid there, so long as you're there and involved with them and showing them how to use the equipment, you know, you can still have a fun time. Then they actually see the park as a fun place. If you just take them there and let them exist, they're just existing somewhere else. You know, they have to have the availability to have interaction, regardless. Whether it's with you or with someone on a video, they'll find interaction.
I wish it was the 90s again, where you could read a book on a bench and watch your kids play. Like, with other kids. Just 30 of them out there playing Red Rover or some crazy shit.
Tell where all the kids were, know where the bicycles were.
And they were everywhere. Driving through Mitchell, you used to almost run over a kid like every other block. Just some little asshole.
Walking, rollerblading, skateboarding, bicycling, kids, everywhere.
Yep. It's a sad fucking world.
I very distinctly remember being able to use an entire city block for games like, you know, Ghost in a Graveyard, Sardines, Hide and Go Seek Tag, through people's backyards that didn't even have kids. We were just the neighborhood kids, but they knew where we lived and what we were doing. They're just like, oh, well, so long as they don't damage anything, I'm going to hide in my backyard, okay. You know, there was a general trust, but now you can't trust shit for anyone, for adults. Why would you trust kids? They're being raised by the untrusted adults.
And then you've got our generation who grew up and did have access to the internet, so we know all the fucked up shit that's on there because we looked at it and we're like, hey, what's this?
And we're still putting it on there.
Yeah, it's still there, it's everywhere, and people can access it with ease. But then we're still giving children access to it, and you can't think, they're not going to look at that. Pretty sure most people did when they were kids.
Idle hands, man. You give someone 3 years and nothing to do in the computer, they're going to find something fun to do. I'm not even going to list any of those sites, because just don't. It was a weird
and everybody
place.
might think we're talking about porn, but there's shit so much worse than porn.
Please look at porn and not.
Seriously.
Just stop there, okay? Just stop there.
If porn is the worst thing you've seen on the internet, you're
Dude, now
in a good spot.
we shouldn't challenge children to this, because
Children shouldn't listen to this anyway.
That's true. But a lot of them
Clip
do.
the disclaimer for another one at the start of this. It'll be okay.
Oh, they're marked as explicit when I post them, so...
Good. But, I mean, did that keep us?
Nope.
Exactly.
You know,
We were just discussing this.
You have to be 18 to get into an R-rated movie, right?
Yeah.
I've never been to a movie theater that enforced that. Granted, when I was 16, I was bigger than most adults, but regardless.
The perfection. I like the underlined V, so it's pronounced the long way. When I say the perfection, I mean the highest. The very ultimate pinnacle that it cannot possibly be any better.
Does that exist?
Sorta. For someone, this world is exactly as they wanted it. For something. I was thinking more on a personal level, though.
Yeah, so it would be an infinite answer.
Sort of. I'm talking your true highest self. Like, what's the highest you could go, possibly? If you were to achieve your perfection, where does your mountain end? At what point are you good enough to just be happy? I don't know what everybody's own personal conception of the perfection is.
It could be some big answers.
I mean,
It could be simple answers.
The first step to finding your path is finding your path. Who are you trying to be? What is it that you want? What's perfection for you?
There are about
So
9
it's a voice
different
mail.
directions I could go.
Yeah, there are 314 trillion paths you could go on. That's the fun part. What's the perfect one? Where does it start?
I wouldn't even know where to start.
Deep meditation shit. But yeah, I would like answers to that one would be awesome. Even really basic ones. I want to go to nursing school. I don't know. I don't know what everybody's perfection is.
Woo-wee for 200, Alex.
So,
Woo-wee.
that's the art of living for nothing. Which I know sounds completely counterintuitive, but it means you have no expectations on anything. You literally live in the moment, by the moment. Whether it's enjoying it or hating it or whatever it is, you're there, you're feeling it.
You just
Every
exist
single
alone.
And it's like a Chinese nirvana type state. The man who's truly happy lives in the now. But he's also truly sad sometimes. It's the yin-yang, the perfection. Woo-wee, the art of living for nothing.
I could dig that. I would have to do a little bit more looking into it, but yeah.
I mean, I think that's the fun part. There is no looking into it. You just do it. Enjoy your life.
Gotta roll with the punches.
I like jumping in, but at the same time, I generally don't jump in head first.
I mean, I think the heart of it is losing any depression or anxiety. Like, you're truly mentally healthy at the state of woo-wee. I really like that name. It's Chinese.
So
So
that means that you would have to be completely happy here, in the here and now.
No.
With you in the here and now.
Yes. So part of that, like that whole enlightenment thing, is that you realize that there's only so much you can affect every moment. So like you live every moment well, and you don't have to worry about the future. You don't have to worry about the past because you just lived every moment to the best of your ability.
You can't love or hate your person of the past because it's not who you are.
Yes.
You can't love or hate the person you are going to be because you don't know
Transcendence.
what you're going to be. So
Yeah.
existing with the person that you are, you have to be able to contend with that person that you are, the here, the now. Otherwise, the here, the now will be nothing but negative. You're stuck with yourself in a negative outlook.
I'm not saying woo-wee is an early step in the process of cultivation.
It's just a process. I mean, whatever you are, that's what you are.
I mean, so I think
How
most
do you
people
deal
would have incredible ego deaths.
To have to become something that you can deal with. But then again, everyone can deal with a different type of their self, you know? And so for a person to find their perfect person to deal with in the here and now, then that could still be a whole lot of different answers. Because just because you enjoy the person you are in the here and now, and what you see as your perfect self there, may not be what jives with my perfect self in the here and now. But that's the beauty of your
Your
here
version
and now,
of my
here and now.
perfect self or my version.
See, they exist in different ones.
So I don't
you have a
give
fun
two,
time deciphering this, man.
I don't give two shits what you think of as my perfect self. And I don't give two shits what your perfect self looks like. Other than on a
Because of
theoretical level.
woo-wee.
Yeah, but it's personal cultivation. Like, no, you're legitimately You're happy with yourself because you're making the right decisions. So that's, once again, the state of no concern. Your wooey has no...
everyone else out of the picture.
Yes.
Focus on you, here, the now.
Sort of. The you and the immediate surrounding.
Very pinpoint perception. It does not seem very broad.
Why would it need to be? I mean, we're all presented with opportunities and temptations every single day. Whether or not we choose to take them is completely up to us. If you're living your best moment every moment, then every opportunity you'll take, and hopefully every temptation you'll resist. Sometimes not. Happy little mistakes.
And we know it's pronounced woo-way.
No, I have
It's
no
just
idea.
fun to say woo-wee.
It kind of is.
Hopefully that's not offensive.
It probably is
It
a little
probably
bit.
is.
Most Asians are used to mush-mouthed Americans. Like, we fuck shit
We're
up
dumb
for
as
a
shit.
living. Like, they don't...
Sorry.
I shouldn't even say they, but my Korean friends, they didn't... Like, as long as I wasn't intentionally, regularly fucking up their name, like, they didn't give a shit. Eventually, they'd just be
They
like,
probably thought it was hilarious.
can you just speak English? Because I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Not to
Google it.
recycle, but to go back into it, it seems like that would be an ultimate manifestation of just bad habits, bad demons. Just it seems like good. Live the moment that works for you, but it doesn't always work for things like the legal system.
I would like to think that you, in each moment, would still understand the laws. Like, it doesn't mean losing your mental faculty. It just means that you're not worried about the future or the past. In what circumstance would you need to break the law to live your best life?
Give that concept to an addict.
We've gone so far past addiction at this point, man. That was episode 4. Like, I'm trying to... I don't know. At this point, if you haven't listened to the early episodes, go back and listen to them, because they're there for a reason.
Yeah, we talked about addiction a lot in the early episodes. It's a big subject.
Addiction? Yeah, it took, like, a lot of fucking episodes.
And it'll still pop up. Just like addiction does.
Yes. Sheep cyclone.
Yeah, I have no idea what a sheep cyclone is.
So, sheep have a natural tendency to follow a herd, right?
Right.
So when they see a sheep ass, they follow it. So believe it or not, sometimes one sheep will see a sheep somewhere behind it, and they get into a cyclone, and they run until they die.
Kind of
Wow.
like ant death spirals.
I don't know about ants, but sheep do it occasionally.
Yeah, ants end up following their same pheromones because they lose the outer pheromone trail, and they just end up cycling in this big circle until they all fall over down.
It's like lemmings running off a cliff.
Pack mentality.
I mean, it can be beneficial to an extent, but then you start running off cliffs or, running yourself in circles.
Do you know why locusts swarm the way they do?
Because they're hungry.
Yes, but they're craving protein, and I guess in the outback where they're most common, there's very little protein in places, so they will start to cannibalize. So it's the ones in the back chasing the ones in the front. And then when they find something else to eat, they eat it, and then resume chasing each other across the outback.
Have you ever seen a fat-tailed sheep?
No.
Is it something that they bred them to eat the tail?
Not exactly,
What
but kind of.
fuck's is it like a beaver sheep? Like, what the
It's
fuck?
like a fucking Kardashian sheep. is what it is.
Okay, maybe. Is it the
So,
jiggle-butt sheep? I just
these
assumed
sheep-
it had a haircut.
It's like the corgi.
They have like the
It's like a
perfect protein
corgi
to
of
fat
sheep.
ratio. You butcher the whole animal, make it into sausage. Perfect.
This is a sheep?
This is a sheep. They have just a big pocket of fat by their tails. It just looks like a big fat ass. And it's hilarious watching these things walk around.
Are you going to add
'Cause
this
it's-
picture?
I can do that. I can add
It's
the
the
picture.
dually of sheeps.
It's
Sheep. Fucking sheeps. God damn it.
See,
The
sheep
dual-
But
cyclone.
yeah, that's it. They're very popular because they're good for eating.
I wonder why.
Not for that. But yeah, if you like sheep, that's the perfect eating sheep. It's the fat-tailed sheep.
I don't really.
I like sheep and goat.
Gamey.
is good though.
Sometimes.
Depends how you cook it too.
Neither of you has taste buds.
I made some goat curry, and it was good.
4 million Scoville.
Wasn't it? No,
So I'll say
I did not make it stupid spicy.
one of those domesticated versus wild that I will argue domesticated rabbit is much better.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Well, wild rabbit don't have a whole lot of meat on them, do they?
That's where you're getting your rabbits.
Fair.
Ours are pretty low, slow, and dumb. They're kind of purposely that way.
Yeah.
You know. What kind of lightning do you want to catch in a bottle?
All of it?
Literal lightning in a bottle? Or are you
Probably
talking about-
not.
So that'd be rough.
Figuratively, not literally.
$1 million idea.
If you could figure out how to do it literally, though, we could definitely create some fucking Tesla engines and shit. The
I was
motor
thinking
itself.
more of a lightsaber, but
That would be pretty cool too.
Alright, but if it takes catching lightning to make a lightsaber, I don't give a fuck about a crystal. I'm catching lightning.
Just hold the big metal rod up during a thunderstorm. You only get to use it one time.
Ben only had it half right.
Oh my god. I'm cutting that out because some dumbass is going to go out with a fucking metal rod. And
Make sure you use a grounding rod, kids.
Yes. Hold on to that son bitch tight.
It's going to look really cool, but it only works once.
Dude, I mean, you would explode. Like, some part of you
Hopefully
is
you don't
coming
want
off.
to survive that. That'll cook your insides, man.
The people that do, though. Man,
Not
I
with
tell
a
you
rod,
what.
usually.
Okay, not with a
No,
rod.
not with a rod.
Just like
Just-
people in elevations that get struck, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's actually kind of an absurd survival rate. Like, it's almost
I
impressive.
knew somebody who was standing next to a vehicle and he got struck by lightning. It threw him quite a bit. And every once in a while, he'll get these weird, like, white stripes across his back.
Really?
Very bizarre.
Okay, now I've been in a vehicle that was struck by lightning, and my vehicle was also struck by lightning when I was not in it. So, like, talk about, I guess, bad luck, good luck, whatever way you look at it, but if you're in it, it's not so bad because the insulation and everything, it just kind of directs it around, rubber tires, insulate. Great ideas, like $1 million idea.
Catching lightning in a bottle?
Yeah,
Yeah. Figure it out, please.
basically what it is. Figure out your shit, put it in a bottle and sell it.
Dude, you'd get suicided in 3 fucking minutes. Come up with something like that? Yep. Suicided.
Or somebody will buy it and bury it. If it threatens their industry.
Hydrogen cars,
I mean,
water
lumber
cars.
did it. Oil did it. Does it. Everybody does it.
Energy weapons in the ancient world.
I am really curious where that was going.
See.
Have you seen the melted ruins all over the world? It almost looks like something was just wiped out of existence with, like, fucking giant laser beam shit.
I don't think I've seen that.
Well, then this isn't gonna make much sense, probably.
Well, just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean somebody else hasn't.
I've seen connective keystone ideas shared across different cultures and different continents. I've seen where there are different carved figures of almost exact proportions or details of like deities and whatnot of what have you shared between cultures, but never melted runes. It would take something massive to melt stone runes.
There's a completely relief carved temple in one of the equatorial type rainforests. It's carved like 40 feet straight down into solid, I want to say granite bedrock. Like tropical island, maybe.
Talking a hell of a lot stronger than the Mythbusters mirrors to set a ship on fire. We're talking enough to
I'm talking like super intelligence, way past the level we currently are. Possibly.
And it couldn't be
into
like a
space.
volcanic
Oh, I mean,
disaster
when you get
or
on
something like that.
on a geological time frame, like when you're talking about rock, especially the hard rocks,
Yeah.
who has any idea how old this shit is? It could be anything. Maybe natural thermite 712,000 years ago. It would be nowhere else on record. Like everything else would have recovered, other than just some obscure ruins.
Never did talk about Brahma?
Oh, the four-headed god? Apparently, Brahma was invited to, I don't even know what to call it, like an international party type thing, right? Except for, like, on a multi-dimensional scale. So, like, all the who's who were there, right? So, as he's walking in with his four faces, he sees a bunch of other versions of himself with, like, one face. And then he gets farther in and he sees the two-faced ones. And then the three. And he starts to think, wow, I've gone through hundreds of billions of versions of myself. I see very, very few with more faces than me. So as he continues to walk, then he starts to see the ones with four faces, and then five faces, and then six faces. And then the farther in he gets, the more he realizes that, like, even as advanced as he is compared to his lesser versions, that it goes up so far that he can't even comprehend how little he knows. Everybody wants the moral of the story, right? Is that what we're looking for? Even if you think you found your perfection, you're still not at the top of the mountain. Because right now you don't know what perfect looks like. But get as close as you can and reach for it. And then hopefully it'll start to get clearer as you go. We haven't talked about D&D yet.
I don't really know that much about it, other than the guy who created it.
Gary
Now, the story
Gygax?
that's still going.
Gary Gygax was a co-creator. So him and a friend of his, they took the old school version of tabletop games, the only version of games. There were no video games at the time. Like, it was basically Risk, where you're controlling an army, you roll dice and shit to see what you can move and how far and all those things. So they thought it would be fun to take it from, like, empires to individuals. So they created the RPG with the dice system. He was a storyteller. He played with, I want to say, his kids. They played like a 30-year game where just every few sessions he'd build a new layer to the dungeon. Which,
It's still going, isn't it? Are his kids carrying it on?
no idea.
Be a hell of a game.
Yeah, it would.
There's apparently one floor where you just, if you fall into the trap, you end up on the other side of the planet, and you have to walk all the way back and go all the way back down through it again.
Wow.
Yep.
Imagine if there are still characters that have not died since it started. What level would they be?
I want to say there are a few, but they haven't been played continuously. It's like some of the people they played with had died and things. So like a living character was retired, basically. But yeah, as far as, I have no idea. I would think that'd break the system. Second
At some
edition,
point, they just achieve godhood and they're gone.
it was 20th level in second edition. Like,
That's
you
true,
were
yeah.
fighting gods and like
Yeah.
elder drakes and shit.
Where do you think the satanic, just the name, it's like in the 80s.
Who's this
it was
smear
like-
campaign?
It was like a huge thing. Like, your kids play Dungeons and Dragons, they're worshiping Satan.
Yeah. Which might not be wrong,
Right?
but not every kid that plays D&D worships Satan.
You got
Oh.
that kid that think it'd be funny to pick Satan as their deity
Character.
for their character, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I think a lot of that just has to come with the not only title, that aesthetic title.
Yeah.
No dragons of lore and myth and magic,
Magic
but also
is probably the big
dungeons
one.
and negative things. Oh no.
So that's the point. D&D's the original. Everything else stems off Gary Gygax's system.
Mhm.
Video games. This is a direct blueprint for a video game. That's why 5th edition is so video game.
The biggest difference between tabletop D&D and video games is tabletop has no limits. You can take your character and your story wherever you want to go. You want to make it satanic? Whatever.
It's imagination.
Exactly.
If you have one, you will enjoy the shit out of D&D. If you don't, maybe not. I guess it depends on who you're playing with.
True.
If your DM can build the world for you,
And allow you to shape your character however you want.
Well, also, I
Fucking
I'm
kinders.
I can't put faith in the true randomization of a random number generator for rolling a die. There's something to that aspect of being able to have that die. roll it on the table.
If it's a truly random number generator in today's world, it is probably as close to random as you can personally generate. It is incredible how improbable computers now are.
Yeah, but I like this.
There's a very good chance that even that physical die you just rolled is still data in a computer somewhere. Just throwing it out there.
Which is fine. I just... There's something to
It
that.
makes it more immersive. You're more involved with it.
With the simulation?
Yeah.
Is that a good
You're
thing?
rolling the die instead of hitting a button and letting the computer roll the die.
It's deep.
It's the physical interaction. Is it?
It really is. Noted.
Yeah.
And you also think you can change your own probability by having multiple sets
That's true.
of dice. So you think you have control of your...
Uh-huh. And it's also, it's not just the die you're rolling, but how you roll it. You think, oh, I put more of like an English on it. Or, rub it and spin that sumbitch. You know,
See,
you can affect it. Like your mental, that's like
Most people that do these things understand this on a fundamental level, right?
Yeah.
Like they understand that they're looking for luck at this point. And I love that fucking concept, man. How many guys do you think for 30 fucking years blow on the dice, and then finally at 70 years old they get it all back?
Yeah.
That $5 million they've dropped, they just hit it. And they have a heart attack and die right there on the spot. But that one fucking time they got lucky. Just let me win that one big one, and I don't give a fuck. There you go, buddy.
There's a whole song about that.
There's probably a bunch of them. Push the button.
We gotta say bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye!